I am an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure, overnights haven't changed here. Got out of that VXX short last week, would have hit my target. Almost added that DNA today, but ended up not doing it. Just didn't close quite well enough for me, even though it paid me pretty well. We'll see if it lets me sneak back in tomorrow. So, the range on today's trading session. So we having problems again with this? This is the same thing that was happening last week on my end. I think it should be good now. You guys seeing a spy of the chart? A chart of the spies? Not yet. I don't know why this is happening. I'm gonna try for tomorrow. I think if we just wait a second, it catches up. YouTube is good. I'm gonna try for tomorrow. Also restarting my computer. Maybe that'll fix some of these issues. That's my go-to. Since I don't know anything about tech, my go-to thing is to good. Okay, so it fixed itself. Yeah, for some reason when I'm first starting these meetings, I think because I got so many softwares running at once here, we're getting a little bit of lag initially, but then it seems like it catches up. And then I'm gonna restart my computer after today's meeting because that's my as a big tech guru, my go-to thing to fix any tech problems is the good old-fashioned restart. If the restart doesn't work, that's when you know you got a problem. All right, let's do it. So like I was saying, so SPYs closed down 0.3%. Qs here closed down 0.85%. And the IWM is up 1.4%. That's the really interesting thing on the day-to-day. The difference between the Qs and the IWM. The IWM was more than a little bit strong compared to the Qs. But right now I got a chart up for the SPYs. So let's take a look at that. Again, SPYs very small down day today, which I think is more bullish than bearish, considering that we had this vicious snapback from last Monday's low, over the course of last week. It was a really strong bull run. Then to have a rest today I think is a good thing. The range on today's rest is very tight. So we have 2 inside days in a row, with today being particularly tight. So tomorrow we will pay attention to today's high and low to see if we can get continuation. We said it last week that when the SPYs get into this area here, 440 to 445, that this is where we expect a bit of a battle to take place between the bulls and the bears. Definitely some compression of price action today, and I would say that that's more bullish than bearish, that the SPYs were not able to create a pivot low and then turn us back down. Qs here. Qs at lows today were not looking good, right? The Qs were looking like maybe the high on Thursday, Friday last week was going to be a lower high for the Qs that could break us down further. But look, we still closed back above 370, so that's a decent little tail. And yeah, the NASDAQ today finished down 0.85%. It was down over 1.5% at one point today. So it's a pretty decent snapback. And I would argue that with the close at 370 here and with this little bit of a tail, that the Qs are not broken. But that relative weakness compared to the Russell is so interesting, especially when you consider what the TLT did today, which I'll talk about in a second. The IWM, we spoke about in the morning meeting today, as having been our relatively strong index really going back to mid-August, right? I think it was 11 trading sessions here at the second half of August, beginning of September, where the IWM was relatively strong 9 out of 11 sessions. Then was a bit weak here, but kind of more in line with what the S&P and the NASDAQ did, right? We saw sell-off across the board for most of September. And then into this snapback last week, the IWM was the most relatively strong. That culminated with a tighter inside day on Friday that broke to the upside, and the Russell now is above the September 10th Maribozu high. So right now, the Russell, to me, is in bull category. And I'll tell you why the Russell being in bull category is so interesting, is because, so one of my constant trading exercises that I'm doing, as I look at the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell, and I look at all three and I ask myself, bullish, neutral, bearish? The answer to that question heavily is going to dictate my overall trading approach and is going to dictate whether or not I have a higher probability of success by being long or short, or really neither, where I could be long or short. And what's interesting is that the S&P up until, a couple weeks ago, and the NASDAQ also up until like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, these have been constantly bullish, almost barely ever ticking into neutral category, into the neutral category, whereas the IWM has been primarily neutral for months right now. And now it just flipped. The NASDAQ and the S&P are still technically neutral to me right now. The IWM is back into bull territory, and the relative strength is incredible. We expect relative strength to go to the TLT. So TLT closed down 0.25% today, but it closed well off of its lows. We expect relative strength in the Russell compared to the NASDAQ when the TLT goes down and interest rates go up. So it's interesting that like we saw relative strength Thursday, Friday in the Russell, but the most relatively strong day, like the biggest difference between the performance of the Russell and the NASDAQ only actually happened today, with the TLT being off 0.25%. So it's kind of interesting. I don't really know what to attribute that to, whether it's just, catch up from the Russell, which should have been higher over the course of the last couple of trading sessions to begin with, or what. But really interesting move to see the IWM just be totally beastie, up 1.4% today, with the NASDAQ being off 0.9%. And look, I gotta say, in the morning meeting today, the game plan from the morning meeting today was super on point. We started talking about last week watching XLE and XLF because of the relative strength there. XLE looking phenomenal as soon as it got back above 50 on Thursday last week. Beautiful continuation. It's a little bit too extended. XLF as well. These are the sectors we want to be paying attention to, and we perfectly called the relative strength in the morning meeting for the Russell today. Though the degree of relative strength, I do think, is, even as I totally expected relative strength in the Russell, the degree of relative strength, once again, just to repeat myself for the fourth time, IWM up 1.4% right now, NASDAQ down almost 0.9%. That's a huge, huge difference. And the XLE, the XLF, value type stocks are definitely the benefactors there. Though I did think that the XLF and the XLE was a little bit too extended to buy. But in those categories, we talked about Morgan Stanley as a trade today. I think this was Jerry's idea in the morning meeting, so I hope you caught it. For continuation, really above kind of this 114 area. Sorry, not 114, 104. And Morgan Stanley definitely nice here. 106 is kind of the big next resistance. It closed a little bit below that, so we could pay attention to it. 105. We should continue to pay attention to it, if that makes any sense. I'm struggling with my words here on Monday morning. But yeah, Morgan Stanley, just a really nice trade for anybody who caught that. Other names on the radar today. First of all, DNA. DNA turned out to kind of be my big focus today, and I wouldn't say it was disappointing. It is up 6% here on the day. I was looking for a little bit more out of it, though. I wanted to see momentum come into this, like big momentum on big volume. And yeah, there's a volume uptick today, but it's not that real big momentum of a ton of eyes coming into it that I wanted to see. And again, it's not bad, but this daily candle, I just wanted a little bit more out of this daily candle. It's ticked 10 cents higher right now, so there's actually a little bit more of a tail than what this daily candle is actually showing. But I just felt like into the close with this quick little sell-off in these last 5 minutes or so, I didn't really have enough of a profit cushion to keep it, so I ended up not swinging it. I sold a lot of stock into the close. I'll look to re-enter that if it gives me the opportunity. I like this company. I like the idea behind what they're doing. I like the technicals. It just didn't give the big momentum. It started with a beautiful trend here. I bought pretty heavy just before the market opened at $13, so that was basically my price, and it gave some beautiful continuation, and I never even sold half my position. I was trying to be really greedy with this. I really wanted to give this some breathing room. I thought there was a potential that this thing, if it woke up, could see $15 today. And it really didn't get close to that. It, gave a nice move, definitely made me some money. Got to 1370. I pieced out of little bits of stock, but I didn't even sell half my position. Pulled back, okay, fine. More of a 15-minute correction here at 1150, which is exactly when you expect 15-minute corrections to come back in. But then you can see on this 15-minute chart that I made a little bit of a lower high and then kind of was grindy for the rest of the day. And I didn't think it closed fantastically well, and I'm just trying to eliminate adding on a lot more new long risk right now with where the market is. So if I didn't have this DNA close at 1340 or better, that's the price I was saying in the VTF, I wasn't going to keep it. And it didn't. Closed 1328. I think I sold out of my position at 1320 with like 5 minutes or so left to go. And, still a nice little day trade, made me a few bucks, and I'm definitely keeping it on the radar. I want to be involved in this. I like it. But I wanted a little bit of a better close as well. What else did we talk about in the morning meeting today, and what else did we trade today? So SOFI, I said during the trading day today that I wanted to bring up this SOFI and review it in the afternoon meeting, because I had a really nice trade here, buying a good bit of SOFI into this tail. I was buying it below 17 actually, and it turned out to be a trade that was actually better than I expected that it would be. I didn't expect that this thing was going to be breaking 18 today. I was just looking for a snapback, and the daily chart looks really good. I think it had some option flow that was coming in at about 12 o'clock. Pat's out of the office today, so we weren't seeing the option flow as fast as we normally do. But some of the other guys were great in stepping up today and getting extra information into the VTF, so I do appreciate that. But yeah, so basically, we know SoFi's been on a run ever since that upgrade. And it cleared $16, which was a big resistance. Then it cleared the $17 area, which was a big resistance. It was actually clearing that $17 area for the first time, and then it got hit with the earnings report that just... This thing was creating like a really nice rounded reversal here off its lows, and then it came out with the earnings report, and the growth numbers weren't that great. And as it was trying to create this, the thing about technical analysis is you can do all your technical analysis, but then in an event like an earnings report happens, and you can just throw a lot of it kind of in the garbage real quick, and the whole stock needs to reset. And that's exactly what happened here. The SoFi had just been starting to look pretty good here on August 12th, as it was rounding up and given that close above 17, had the earnings report. The guidance numbers for growth were not what the street was looking for. They whacked this thing down. It did a long consolidation, and then finally on this upgrade here, it broke through 16. Then it cleared up, gave even continuation the day after, which I usually don't like that. I usually actually prefer a little weaker day the second day because it sets you up better for day 3. But broke 17, held above 17, and then even today when it was trying to give actual weakness, which is a good thing, you for the most part, of course, if you're long and your stock goes straight up 100%, congratulations. But for the most part, if you're really a believer in a stock, for the most part, you don't want it to go straight up 100%, 200%, like just in a really short period of time. You want your stocks to ebb and flow and to create trends, get eyeballs on it, and turn into a bull trend. And that's kind of what I was looking for in this pullback. So what I really wanted from SoFi today was actually an inside day. And I didn't end up getting it because the bull flow and everything was coming in, had to be too strong. But we know that the stock has now really turned around. It's really cleared some levels. This ADMA is starting to catch up a little bit to $17, which is exactly what I want to see. And it was weak. It was very weak early on and was working its way back into that $17 and back into yesterday's low. And so this is what I like. We got to go to the small picture. I like capitulation bottoming setups, or capitulation retracement setup is really what I prefer to call it. I like capitulation retracement setups to the upside in stocks that are selling off on small time frames but are bullish on the big time frame. So we just went over the big time. We know the big time frame is looking bullish right now. So if the big time frame was looking bullish, if you just close your eyes, whatever, before the market even opened, before you saw any of this price action, before you knew anything about what SoFi was going to do, but you knew that the daily chart in SoFi was looking more bullish, if you close your eyes and had to place a bet, long or short, like gun to your head, you're going to go long, right? So you know you've got the big picture actually on your side of the trade. on the small picture, we got this big sell-off. And this sell-off made the stock extended on the small time frame. Your ADMA is at like 1725 or so. And the stock on the small time frame is trading as low as 1685. So you got the thing extended by 40 cents in a $17 stock at lows here on a 5-minute chart as it's hammering back up on increasing volume. The volume on this bar is even bigger than the volume on the opening bar. So what are we looking for, just as a reminder to the team here, what are we looking for in our hammer capitulation setup? It's basically 3 things that we need. If you're looking to buy a stock that's extended to the downside, one, you need it to be actually extended, which we just said that this is. This bar closes at 17, the low here is 1685. So even if you bought at 17 and I had a better price than that, you got 15 cents risk and the ADMA is at 25. So it's better than 1-to-1, so it meets that rule. Next, you want to have confirming volume. You got the confirming volume. And third is the shape of the candle. It actually needs to be the hammer. So we need the shape of the candle, the extension, and the volume. This has all 3 things. And then if you can couple that with a bullish daily chart, beautiful. That's what we're looking for. And again, I'm not expecting this thing to really even make new highs in the day, but I'm thinking big picture. And for me, I had liquidated some stock over the course of the last couple of trading sessions. I had liquidated stock above 1750 on Friday. I actually got lucky and sold even more of my swing in the 1770s today. And now I'm seeing this down here, and I'm like, all right, this is a trade I want to take. It's also a great opportunity for me to reload some of the stock that I had sold, and that's exactly what I'm looking to do. And then if I can get a close, if I can get this thing to then, work its way back up and be around 1740, let alone what it actually did, if I can get a close around 1740, then I'm getting a great looking inside rest candle that's setting up for further continuation, letting this ADMA on the daily catch up a little bit more. It's exactly what I want to see, and I was able to come in and nail basically the low of the day. That's what I'm looking for. And guess what? It exceeded my expectations because the big picture's become bullish. That's why we're seeing option flow come in, continued option flow come in, and that actually enabled it to go after this 18. I can tell you one thing about this 18, and it might be too soon to say it, but if you're long SOFI, you got to pay attention to this 18. It could just be that it's extended. It's extended by $1.50 when it's going into 18. I did not like the selling pressure I saw coming in at 18 bucks here. Just kind of watching the tape and watching the chart, when it hit this 18, it was running into a lot of real selling, real profit taking at 18 that seemed more of the institutional variety. Again, $18 stock, EDMA on the daily is at 1657, so I don't want to overread selling at 18 bucks in an extended stock. There should be selling at $18 when the ADMA on the daily is at 1657. That's normal, good, healthy price action. But it is something that I'm noting kind of in my brain that I got to pay attention to this $18. And I even told you guys on the second or third time here that it broke through 18 and came right back below. I told everyone in the VTF, I was like, guys, probably a great spot here to take off some SOFI if anybody's got some with me. I did. Took off some SOFI here, and then pretty soon after that, that selling led to a little bit lower price action in the close. And I can look to kind of rebuy that. So SOFI and DNA, those are my real trades of the day today. They kind of made my day. Some other things we're looking at that maybe weren't as good. We're looking to see if this hood could hold 44. I wanted Friday's retracement of the Wednesday breakout candle to basically be the extent of the retracement, and then basically bounce off that. Great opening price action in this on these first 2 candles, but once this thing breaks those opening lows, you can even see the volume tick up here in the break opening lows. You got to be out of the way. Anybody who's giving a little bit more room, it basically did hold that $44 area that I was talking about. It kind of tailed through it real quick, and then it actually closed okay. We had spoken about a small time frame out of maybe $44 and a big time frame out of $42.76. So the $42.76 is still intact. The $44 you may have gotten pushed out of it on this kind of volume candle, basically at lows, which would be unfortunate. So I don't think that this hood is broken, but it definitely didn't give the strength that I wanted it to give today. We spoke about ATER in the morning meeting. just kind of off this daily candle. And then I didn't think it was triggering right, so I didn't get involved in it. It broke that opening low real quick, and then it was doing nothing. A little bit of volume pickup here around 120 or so, but this just didn't really do much. Similar but different was this ANY. ANY has kind of created this base. I haven't liked this ANY too much ever since they announced the secondary offering back here on September 3rd. The stock's been very heavy, and we've seen that a lot, by the way. Whenever these companies recently are issuing secondary offerings or they're having lockup expirations, it's been really making the stocks heavy, which I think is something noteworthy for the market as a whole. That, we're just seeing more and more and more supply come online recently, and the demand has been holding in there pretty well. But the supply in the market coming from secondaries and lockup expirations and new IPOs and new SPACs, I think has been kind of spreading things out a little bit. I mean, at the end of the day, right, the market is just a supply and demand function. So this ANY had this news rumors, I don't really know what they are, of Elon Musk. That's what crossed the news wire and caused this bid to come in, that Elon Musk might be joining the board. Definitely enough to potentially create a short squeeze in it. So that ANY picked up pretty early. PENN was on the radar today. One of you guys brought up PENN in the morning meeting, and I mentioned I really like this. That's back above 74 at the inside day today. So we talked about a buy in PENN through the high of 76.45 through Friday's high, the inside day high, and that one worked out really well here also in the beginning of the day. So honestly, great day today. Great day today for the team. We were really on point with our big picture game plan for the market. We were really on point with some of the names that I was looking at in the morning meeting today for my ideas, and then you guys brought some ideas to the table today as well that were definitely money makers. So great job to everybody today. I love it. Let's keep it up. And that's all I got. So I'm happy to answer any questions from anybody here in the VTF. Let me scroll up. The picture is hysterical, AM trader. NamCap. Multiple stocks, BABA, ZM, PAC-B, Z, Run, broke longer term low this morning only to bounce back. Should we be watching these stocks and this pattern for a move higher, or most likely did it just find some demand and best to stay clear for possible continued downside? All right, let's take a quick look at the names that he mentioned here. So one was BABA. BABA had a great day today, but it's only a snapback to the 80 MA on the daily, and it's on low volume. So I keep saying this over and over and over again. I love the idea of BABA, but the technical setup really hasn't been there, and it's been so relatively weak compared to JD. BABA's been in the straight downtrend. JD, I think, has been definitely the better trading vehicle. Even though I've got a small position in BABA, I have no position in JD. JD has definitely been the better name. Look what JD was even able to do today. Kind of fantastic. So that's BABA. Let's take a look at these other ones. Yeah, ZM, I still don't like ZM. I think it's not out of the woods. PACB is kind of holding the support and tailed below it and came back up, so I don't think that one is too bad. I like that the Zillow closed above 90. Let me go back to that one. And Sunrun had a big day today. I know somebody in the VTF, I think it might have been Dan, was mentioning we should be looking at solars because of what energy is doing, and that sometimes then is, if energy prices become really expensive, then people go to alternatives such as solar. So maybe that's something we could see. And I agree with the thought process. I didn't agree with the charts, and now I think that the Sunrun chart actually looks pretty good. And so a couple of these names that you mentioned, Sunrun, this held support, and PACB really held support as well. It kind of tailed below it a little bit. But like this Zillow, I love when stocks break big obvious supports but close above. Think about how many people got stopped out below 90 today, but it closed above, so that can oftentimes be a catalyst that leads to higher price action. I generally don't like when support levels are tested 4 times. I like the stock. I liked the initial low. I liked the second low. I thought maybe we could be looking at a W pattern, a double bottom if we could get back above 100. But I said to everyone when I tested this third time, I was like, I don't know. It shouldn't be testing a third time. And it bounced a little bit off that third test, but to another lower high. So it's creating a descending triangle, if anyone's able to see that descending triangle. The descending triangle breaks above 97.50, and it breaks down below 90. So technically, this descending triangle broke down today but closed above. So if you've got trend following or pattern day trader bears or whatever that shorted below, well, they're out of the money. If you got longs here that were loving this 90 support, they were like, oh my God, I got so lucky it held this third time. Well, they got pushed out. So maybe this failed break to the downside on this wedge in Zillow can actually lead to a break on the upside. So again, I like and I understand that failed patterns in one direction or false moves in one direction oftentimes can actually become a catalyst to the other direction. So let's pay attention to these names for sure. I do think that not every stock that you mentioned is exactly the same as one another. They're kind of a little bit different with some of the patterns. You know, BABA versus Zillow versus like PACB and Sunrun. But for the most part, all those names, I don't really know PACB very well, and I don't really trade Zoom. But BABA, Zillow, Sunrun, those are definitely stocks that are on my radar. Jerry, you didn't catch the Morgan Stanley because you were focused on DNA. Oh, you didn't catch Morgan Stanley because you're focused on DNA and fuel cell. Well, hopefully you made some money here because this fuel cell. I don't know if this fuel cell got brought up in this morning meeting today because this is a beautiful trade and a beautiful chart. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about SOFI before. The two big up days in a row, the tight inside day and the continuation day in fuel cell. Fantastic. Plug had a nice day today as well. So DNA paid. So, you know, hopefully you couldn't make money in the one stock because you're too busy making money in the others. That's a good problem to be able to have. Steve bringing up FCX as a potential swing. Yeah, what did these names do today? What did CLF do today? CLF ticked above the inside day, but not really too much behind it. I think FCX looks good here. It was a big day today. So maybe this thing needs some time around this $34 area to set up. And then obviously like 37-ish looks like the real big resistance that you want to see FCX starting to get above. But I do think, I agree. I think it's starting to set up for a swing. Next here from Sebastian, can you explain the DNA trade? I wanted to enter, but it seemed a little bit overextended. Yeah. Wasn't there news in DNA pre-market? There was something in DNA that I thought that was a catalyst pre-market that made me not care about the upside extension from the gap as much. And I was giving it some more initial room. I know someone on the VTF mentioned that they were using 1260 as an initial out. I don't really like using previous day's closes as outs. I will sometimes use a previous day like high. So I think you actually could have used like this 1279 as an initial stop loss before the ADMA on the small time frame caught up. But once you had this pivot low come in here, and I mentioned this wedge also. Once you had this pivot low come in here and you had this ADMA catch up, I was buying this thing even before the market opened with that stop. But then I also was mentioning it to the VTF, guys, this wedge here, if this thing is going to break, it should break now. I want to see this DNA go, I want to see the volume come in. And that's exactly what happened. This wedge with the inside 5, with the ADMA that caught up, with that pivot, started clearing above 13. So there was multiple spots where you could have entered this or potentially traded it. But that was my original game plan, and I was heavy in this too. I said that into the VTF. I'm like, guys, I'm actually pretty heavy in this one. I really like it. And it just didn't give me the close I wanted. So I sold out of my position into the close, and I'll potentially look to re-enter it because it didn't give me the close I wanted. But that's basically the idea there. Next here from Made the Trade, what are your thoughts on a potential short squeeze in CEI? I don't know what the short float is. Is this thing running after hours? No, it ran during the day. CEI. I know someone's brought this name up recently. It's up 40% today. I don't really pay attention too much to stocks that are this cheaply priced unless I have a very specific reason to. Like we did well with Sundial and the Wall Street Bets thing. So I really don't know, Mr. Made the Trade. I don't know the company. I don't know what the short float is. I don't know what the float is. I don't know what they do. Obviously, it's an energy company. I'm assuming it's highly shorted. That's why you're bringing it up. So it looks like it's being squeezed already. Squeezed to where? I don't know. You know, a lot of times these short squeeze moves are relatively short-lived because of what's going on there. Sorry, I just see that the guest walked in. So that's kind of CEI. I'm sorry I don't have too much more information for you, but I don't want to just make stuff up. Next from Robbie Stonks. What are your thoughts on the NEO stock? NEO today beautiful. This is what we want to see. I was talking about it during the day today. Neo below 36 was concerning me. This was kind of creating a bearish setup, and I kept saying I want to be involved in Neo either on a bigger sell-off because I really like the company, if it can get more to like this 31, 32 area, or because it's recapturing 36. It did today what it needed to do. It was weak early on in the day, and then it caught a bid and was right in the beginning of the day, very weak. Caught a bid, was super strong, got above 36, closed above 36, closed above the ADMA. I really like how this Neo is looking. I think it can be long versus today's low if it gives you an entry. 45 is not a great average price, but you got the option position there also. I'm definitely a big fan of Neo. I want to get back involved in that one myself. I do not have a position in it currently. Moderna, please comment. I don't like this day today on Moderna, and I really don't like it if it loses this low, this 406.87. Similar to what I was just talking about Zillow having a bearish setup that failed to break down, this had a bullish setup that failed to break up. So that is a potential problem with this Moderna. I don't like that. It hasn't really totally broken down or failed yet, but I think if this Moderna gets below 406.87, we got problems. Where did it close today? Basically almost there, 407 quarter or so. So, pay close attention to it. If you're long, you got to be ready to stop yourself out. I don't like this lower high here. This is when it should have broken out. When it got above this 440 this last time, that should be leading to new highs. It failed to do so. We know, I think the valuation on this is kind of insane here at these prices. So it's not a company I believe in from a fundamental basis, and on a technical basis, it hasn't failed yet, but it's certainly not looking good. LILM, oh man, I tried buying that one day last week when we saw option flow come in, and it didn't give any follow-through. I forget which day. I think it was on the 22nd. I have no idea what this thing is, and I think I said that even as I was buying it, and I got stopped out. It just didn't give any follow-through for like a break-even trade or so. Technically, it's making a bull flag, though, off this $10. And again, we saw a lot of bull flow coming into this last week. So there's some things to like about it, but it's got to wake up. And one of the things, like you're saying, is there's no volume in it yet. So we want to see the volume come in. From my man Marty, AMD. Yeah, AMD we spoke about a lot today on the VTF. Micron, I think, has earnings very soon. Today? I don't remember. Did Micron have earnings today? I don't remember.
Said after hours today.
Doesn't look like it's trading on it. Yeah, so AMD here looks beautiful. I mentioned in the morning meeting today I want to buy above 106 in AMD. I didn't take it because I felt it got to 106 off of its low, like too far, too fast kind of deal. Like this thing went from a pivot low here of 103.75 on a day when tech and the NASDAQ is generally weak. Went from 103.75 to my buy price of 106 in an hour straight up. And I was like, I really want to buy this AMD at 106, but I'd rather, I'd be much more confident in it if it could hang out below 106 today and set us up for tomorrow. Like if this thing could have gotten up to 106 and pulled back to 105 or 105 quarter and went sideways the rest of the day, I would have loved that for setup for today, for tomorrow I mean. But I didn't take the buy at 106, and it was a nice trade. Even with being that much off lows, it was a nice trade. And I said it in the morning meeting, and I can still repeat the sentence. I think AMD looks better now than any other point since August 27th. I did not like how AMD was looking here for most of September. It was relatively weak compared to NVIDIA. It had broken down. It had a failed, again, I guess this is the theme of today's meeting. Failed technical moves in one direction can really facilitate an easier move in the other. We talked about it with Zillow. We talked about it now potentially with Moderna. And now here in this AMD is another example. Failed break higher, this wedge pattern at the end of August led to this thing being the grossest semi-name for, not gross compared to Intel on a big enough time frame, but the grossest semi for the month of September until right now. AMD's looking good. It's definitely looking good. Let's take a quick look at just what like SOXL looks like. Yeah, SOXL starting to set up as well. SOXL breakout like $48, $49. I think we need to have on the radar also. Tianhao asking about LUV. Yeah, so LUV made a daily shooting star today. These reopening type trades have been in play recently. $52 was a big level. So yeah, it's extended, but I don't like the risk reward of shorting now. You're gonna short it at $53. Your stop loss has to be $54.40. You got to risk $1.40 in that trade for reward potential down to 51. So yeah, I guess your risk reward is a little bit better than 1-to-1 on a retracement to the ADMA. But I think that this $52 might hold a support. I would actually rather be looking to go long LUV on a retest of 52 area than I would be looking to go short it here just because of that shooting star after the extension. Josh called out fuel cell for the team. Awesome, Josh. Thanks. Time decay for what, Gabriel? CEI? I don't know what. It is time decay? Zach Morris from Twitter. Zach Morris is from Saved by the Bell. Yeah, so Bed Bath & Beyond, I should have mentioned that when I was doing my part of the meeting. Next question here from Holden. Bed Bath & Beyond I thought was a disappointment on its close. So first of all, Bed Bath & Beyond has earnings, I believe, after the close on Thursday, which is brutal for me because I'm going to be on an airplane and I'm going to be holding stuff. I'm definitely going to be holding some stock into that earnings report, which is definitely not advice for other people to do that. But I've traded this Bed Bath & Beyond so well this year. I'm up so much money in it that I'm definitely going to be holding a position in it. And it's even with this pullback. I was super pumped by this opening price action in Bed Bath & Beyond. I would have liked a little bit of better volume, but this looked like a real institution was coming in, driving it up. It's been baffling to me that this Bed Bath & Beyond has been as weak as it's been, considering what like Macy's is doing in the retail space, considering how well like AMC and GameStop have been holding up. So I think that this is a really good company fundamentally. I know Stefan agrees. $24 has been resistance, but similar to Neo, right? You know, the Neo chart that we just went over, obviously two very different companies, but from a technical perspective, similar to Neo was looking bearish. It was holding beneath $26, same way that this Bed Bath & Beyond was holding below $24. And now today, all in one shot, they got that Neo to clear resistance and clear the ADMA on the daily. That's what I wanted from Bed Bath & Beyond today. Clear $24 and give me a close above $24, which is also a close above ADMA on the daily. And now this thing's starting to look a lot better again. Neo couldn't do that for me into the close. So I did trade this. I've had positions in it a while. I bought this pullback in Bed Bath & Beyond probably a little early. I don't remember exactly what price I bought. It was like, I think it was like low 2370s. And then the pivot came a little bit later than I would have liked, which had me nervous. And then the buying never came back. It was really never able to clear this 24 again for the rest of the day after that really strong initial move. You know, really strong initial move. Okay, fine. Gives me the shooting star candle. What does that mean? Shooting star candle means it should pull back. Pull back to equilibrium. Give me a higher low, then give me continuation. What did it do? It pulled back like it's supposed to. Okay, fine. A little deeper. Lower band of equilibrium. 15-minute correction. Okay, fine. It's 2:30. 15-minute corrections are fine at this time of the day. Deeper than I want it to be. No real volume confirmation. Okay, fine. I finally got my pivot. No new highs, couldn't recapture 24. Tried to get into the close, couldn't recapture 24. So I didn't make anything on that. I didn't lose anything either. I was able to sell somewhere on the snapback. I forget exactly where I got filled. I also bought stock at 23.61. So the stock I bought at 23.61, and I think I like literally clipped this high to sell some of that. So then it kind of made my other buy, I think, a little bit of a wash. So I did end up trading it, but I'm disappointed by it. I was saying it into the close. I was like, just give me a close at 24.02. I don't care. I just want to close above $24. And it wouldn't do it for me. So we'll see what happens with the earnings report. You know, taking stock or anything into an earnings report, betting on an earnings report is always 100% gambling. I've kind of got a good feeling about this one, but we'll see how it goes. A good feeling means not too much. Mike Ron has earnings after the close tomorrow at 4:30 from Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Zoom out on CEI. Oh my God, what is this? What is this?
Carbon capture.
Camber Energy? But is this an actual stock?
Yeah, it's like a Wall Street bets.
But how could it have traded at these prices without time decay? I'm so confused.
I don't even know.
Was it something else? I really don't know what I'm looking at with the CEI. To be honest with you guys.
There's no way it had that.
It's bizarre to me for a stock to look. It's one thing if it's like the VXX or the SQQQ or UVXC, like one of those garbage time decay ETFs that you should never hold in a long-term account. For the CEI, I really got no idea. All right, gang. I'm going to jump because there's some commotion going on around me, and it's almost 5 o'clock. I think we got through everybody's questions. So, again, shout out to the team. Great communication today. I love that you guys stepped it up with Pat being on vacation. So we don't need Pat here all the time, right? But, of course, we like when he is here. He'll be back tomorrow. I'll see everybody tomorrow. Subscribe to Derrick the Trader YouTube. Follow at ProdeskVTF on Twitter. Have a great night, everybody.